Good afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Kevin Phelps here in the OTT set here early on your Monday afternoon. We are tracking the threat for strong to severe thunderstorms here over the next couple of hours. In fact, winds of 80 to 90, maybe even 100 miles per hour are going to be possible here over the next couple of hours. So waiting for Teresa to finish up her live hit on the noon news right now. Then we'll jump right into some of these graphics behind me. But here's just a quick live look at what radar is looking at right now. We have strong to severe storms only about 15 miles out now from what would be the Iowa City downtown area. So as we just draw a little bit of a line there back to Williamsburg, 17 miles. These storms moving to the east at around 75 miles per hour at this point, gust up to 60 and 70 miles per hour. So it looks like Teresa might have just finished up that hit. So we're going to jump right back onto our graphics here, and we'll talk more about our first alert day that is in effect right now up until 5 o'clock this afternoon. And these storms are really going to be moving at a pretty good pace. So we're kind of going through these backwards here just quickly before we get into it. But there's a lot of energy that these storms are going to be tapping into. And all of these are going to be capable of producing severe wind gusts in excess of 70, 80, maybe even 90 miles per hour. In fact, just near Marshalltown, Iowa, not too long ago, we had a 99 mile per hour wind gust measured. We did not have that estimated. That was measured at the airport. So yes, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the entire TV6 viewing area. These storms are just about to blow through into western Johnson County. So if you know anybody in Iowa City specifically, I think the kids moved in here a couple of days over the weekend. Tell them to take cover immediately. This storm is moving that fast. We don't have any time to do any more preparations. But for us locally, say from Mount Pleasant to Muscatine, the Quad Cities, and Clinton and Savannah, you have time right now to maybe go out, tie up the lawn furniture, bring stuff inside. I've tried to go home in between the shows and these hits in order to get my trash cans in, but one trash can still left out. That's just the way it's going to be here today. But these winds, as they move through right now, radar's estimating 58 to 60 mile an hour winds just west of Montezuma. So the leading edge is right now in Williamsburg, Iowa, just about to enter Iowa City, where we have confirmed reports of 70 and 80 mile an hour wind gusts. This is what we would call a derecho that's working its way through the Midwest here today. Originated here in South Dakota and is now certainly moved across the state of Iowa. And now is approaching eastern Iowa and eventually western Illinois. Here's the problem. Right now it's already potent, but it's tapping into energy now that is abundant. Have you stepped outside? It feels like 100 degrees outside right now. So there's a lot of energy for these storms to tap into. So right now we're talking, folks, from Iowa City to Mount Pleasant and then the western parts of Muscatine and Cedar counties in Iowa, to a lesser extent Jones County here within the next half hour. And eventually we're talking in the Quad Cities, Clinton and Muscatine itself, the actual cities proper. This is all going to move through, I would say, within the next hour. We'll talk about, say, 1:15, 1:30 for an estimated arrival for some of those strongest cells. Here's a look at that thunderstorm energy that's available from now up until 1:30. You can tell that we're highlighted all the way in the very bright yellow. That's as high as our thunderstorm energy category goes, at least on this particular graphic. So these storms, while they're already packing a punch, are really tapping into that more energetic atmosphere. I expect these to get stronger as they roll closer to our area. So really an impressive line or a bow echo, if you will. So the cold front is still positioned to move through sometime around 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. I think by that time, most of our thunderstorm activity will be pushing towards Kewanee and Galesburg and into northwest Illinois. After this time frame, our severe threat really diminishes very quickly, and then I fully expect us to see all the rain out of our area by, say, 6, 7 o'clock here this evening. So that window for severe weather is opening up right now as we speak, and this is something that's going to continue here for the next couple of hours. Just trying to pop up our live feed here so I can answer some of your questions. I know many of you probably do. So good afternoon, Samantha. Good morning, Julie. Good morning, John. Just jumping through some of these. Princeton, Illinois, that's a time estimate on there as well. We're talking closer to the 2:30 to 3 o'clock time frame. How about the storm moving on? Oh my gosh, Dan, we're not going to talk about that. We need to, but we can't do without the wind. All right, so let's jump into the individual specific threats. We'll jump onto the other radar here in just a second, and I'll put it in animation mode. But let's run into some of these threats. Large hail is not going to be that big of a threat. I still think we're going to see quarter-sized hail. That is severe, don't get me wrong. But we're talking 5% chances or less to have a severe thunderstorm because of hail. Now, even as you look at the severe hail parameter, it's still running in that very low category. That's part of the reason why I'm not overly concerned with the threat for hail today. It's really, really warm. We just don't have enough to kind of get that big hail going. But what we have is significant hail damage, or wind damage, I should say, possible. Right now, we're in the 45% range for having a severe thunderstorm because of winds of 58 miles per hour or greater. And you see this hatched thing? Yeah, those black lines that are going through kind of looks like a watermelon there from Galesburg to Mount Pleasant, Burlington. And then we have the 45% chance from Clinton, Savannah, Quad Cities, and Muscatine. That corresponds with a 10% chance of 74-mile-per-hour winds or greater. I'll put that full screen so you guys can see that. 74-mile-per-hour winds or greater. And then we have this confirmed already as storms move through Marshalltown and they move through Iowa City, or they're about to move through Iowa City, I should say. So let's see if we can get a little bit more information on the latest updates for Johnson County. Looks like until, we'll jump here. There, I can help you kind of read it here. Hazard, 90-mile-an-hour wind gust right now. That's from trained weather spotters. The line of storms has a history of producing 80 to 90-mile-an-hour winds. Significant tree damage over parts of central Iowa. So really, this is a life-threatening situation from Kelowna through Hills, Iowa, Iowa City, Solon. All those areas there in central Johnson County are under a very, very strong severe thunderstorm warning. So it's pushing through Williamsburg right now. Iowa City is about 15 miles away. As we draw this out, you can see, we'll just call it the Mississippi River there in Davenport, is 60 miles away. Right now, the path of this storm is tracking at about 70 miles per hour to the east. So we're talking within the hour here in the Quad Cities metro and western Illinois. Here's that tornado outlook. I had a couple of you asking about that threat for severe thunderstorms producing tornadoes. We have about a 5% chance for a tornado to evolve out of some of these storms. Remember, these storms not only moving really fast, but as they do so, they're pumping out a lot of rain. And as that rain kind of pushes out, it pushes out a wall of wind, and that can get those spin-up type tornadoes. So where we have the strongest winds from Dubuque through Savannah, Clinton, and Sterling, and initially right now Iowa City and Anamosa, that would be the favorite area for an isolated tornado. In terms of a real strong tornado, well, winds of 100 miles per hour are strong enough. So we're probably not going to be too concerned about the significant tornado parameter. We'll just bypass this graphic completely, and we'll move on to the rainfall. Yes, we need the rainfall. We know that for areas along and north of I-80, tracking those abnormally dry conditions. But here's the deal. With storms running at about 70 miles per hour to the east, they're not going to be able to produce a whole lot of rain because they're going to be moving through literally in a blink of an eye. So that's why we're giving you about an hour's lead time right now along the Mississippi River from Galena through Clinton, Moline, Burlington, to take your precautions right now, because these storms are packing a significant punch right now. In fact, if we turn Apple TV back on, we're looking at these storms rapidly approaching Iowa City. In fact, we'll turn on some of the velocity here, and we'll even just kind of give you an idea what it's doing right now from Oxford, Iowa, moving through Tiffin, and very close, it looks like, to what is North Liberty and the Coralville area. You think of like the Coralville Mall and stuff like that. We're estimating wind speeds. This is a little bit high in the clouds, but it's estimated over 100 miles per hour, anywhere between 70 and 100 miles per hour on my radar that I have pulled up over here. So this is a substantial wind maker for us. I know a lot of you probably thinking, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. There's nothing stopping this from coming our way at this point. We are capped, but we have that cold front running into the area, and those storms are already acting like another mechanism to help lift. So that's why we have the first alert day in effect here for our Monday afternoon. Temperatures, yeah, 80s. I guess temperatures really not a big deal anymore. We're more worried about the severe weather. Of course, we're going to have more storm chances here later this week. But here's kind of the recap of it. We can probably put the impact to high. Damaging winds, whole area from now up until about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And this is a large wind event that is setting up here across our area. So for areas from Muscatine to Kewanee, Princeton, Sterling, you're now under a moderate risk. That actually is a scale on 4 on that scale of 1 to 5, with 4 being just below that highest threat. So this really is no joke. Everywhere highlighted in the yellow, those are under severe thunderstorm watch. You can see that bow echo as it's racing across Iowa. You can see lots of lightning up here associated from Waterloo, just west of Anamosa. So what this is telling me is that this storm is continuing to strengthen. So if you live north of I-80, say from the Quad Cities to Clinton and Savannah, if we jump into Jones County, you're thinking Maquoketa, Olin, Iowa, if you get into Sebula and some of these areas along the river, you're probably going to have a pretty good bet of seeing 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, which also means you guys are going to hear the sirens go off this afternoon. Take these just as serious as you would if you were trying to take shelter from a tornado. I think it was about 11 years ago we had that derecho come through the Quad Cities metro with 100 mile an hour winds, bent over poles left and right and things like that. This is a similar situation that we're watching for here right now. So as we kind of take this full screen for you, you can see the lightning now extends all the way down into Mount Pleasant, or just north and west there of Mount Pleasant. And I fully expect these areas in south central Iowa and southeast Iowa to have severe thunderstorm warnings issued for you as well. As you take a look at this, there's not a whole lot of rain, but there's a ton of wind associated with this down here just south of, would be just south of Ottumwa, and this is all eventually moving towards our direction. So since I don't have control of that radar, we'll use the other radar here in just a second, but as the crow flies, these storms are only about 70 miles away from the Quad Cities. If you live in western Illinois, you're probably going to see the arrival of these sometime around 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By 4 and 5, a lot of this is going to be exiting our area. So a lot going on here early this afternoon, so let's just jump right into the other radar and kind of take a closer look at what we have going on. Storms right now are just off to the west of our viewing area, and we'll be moving in very, very shortly. Again, as you live in Buffalo or say something like that, the leading edge of the storm is now approximately 47 miles away. And again, these storms are moving very, very quickly. In fact, we can actually pull this up for you. Trying to, at least. We'll see if we can get that pulled up for you here. Last check, these were capable of producing winds of over 80 to 90 miles an hour. But let's see, they're moving east at 70. So this was located near Dysart, 6 miles south of Ledora, near Whatcheer, Iowa, moving east at 70 miles per hour, capable of producing winds of 70 miles per hour. Now, for the folks that have been asking about the tornadic threat, while it is slim to none, you can kind of see these little areas, if I can get my pin out here, where we have these little greens next to the blues. This would be considered some areas that we would want to watch. This one near North Liberty, this one near Coralville. These would be the areas to watch for brief spin-up tornadoes that would be moving due to the east. And it looks like we got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning in for Cedar and Muscatine County now until 1:30 this afternoon. So again, not a big surprise there that we're expanding the severe thunderstorm warnings across our area. But this is going to be an ongoing event here for now, probably until the next couple of hours. So we'll just kind of wait for this to populate on here, but it looks like it'll be folks from Fruitland to Grandview to Muscatine, Atalissa, West Liberty, Nichols, Iowa. Out there near Wellman, Iowa, that's a little concerning, maybe a little bit of an echo on there, maybe trying to show up with hail about a ½ inch in diameter, but it looks like it's just going to be these winds in excess of 70 and 80 to maybe even 90 miles per hour that we've had measured at actual airports across our area. So as we kind of take a closer look at maybe some of these other threats that we've been talking about here this afternoon, and then I'll jump into some of your questions here in just a second. I'm trying to multitask here out the wazoo. Here on OTT and on Facebook Live. So here's a severe hail outlook. We're talking about a 5% chance because of severe hail. Davies County, we're watching from Rock Falls, Illinois. Rock Falls. When will it hit the QC? Jess, we're talking within the hour. We're talking, I guess, by 1:15, 1:30. And we're talking winds of 80 to 90 miles an hour. So we'll jump into some more specific county names in just a second, but we'll try to run through some of these parameters and outlooks. But the biggest threat here today, guys, is the severe wind, especially from Muscatine to Princeton and northward. So pretty much along and north of Interstate 80. But it's not too often that we have storms in the environment that we have today. Really, really conducive for producing some really high winds and a lot of heavy rain. So it looks like Teresa's on the air right now, updating on the brand new severe thunderstorm warning there for Muscatine County. If you're watching us over on TV6, this is over on our digital platform. But this hatched area, so it includes areas all the way down now to Burlington. Looks like we went right past it because that's what Teresa is on. That is capable of producing winds of 75 miles an hour or higher, and it gives us about a 10% chance. Right now we have confirmed reports of 80 to 90 mile an hour winds, so it's a pretty good bet here at this point. So as we jump on into that brand new severe thunderstorm warnings, everybody in Scott County, for guys in the newsroom, you're going to be getting calls about the sirens going off. That's for the latest severe thunderstorm warning. So if you want to let people know that are calling into the station. The severe thunderstorm warning now incorporates the Quad Cities Metro from Milan to Rock Island, Silvis to Hampton, LeClaire, and Eldridge. So we'll just jump right into that. That expires in 52 minutes. So let's just run right through this. I'll read this off to you as this is coming in as fast as I can get it and as fast as you can get it to yourself. So at 12:33, a severe thunderstorm located near Ely or Wellman, Iowa was moving east at 70 miles per hour. These are very dangerous storms. 80 mile an hour wind gust. This line has produced 70 to 90 mile an hour wind gust on average here over this afternoon and early so far. I mean, it's only 12:38 and we're talking an abundant amount of severe thunderstorms. So just some locations here. We're talking Davenport, Iowa City, Moline, Rock Island, Bettendorf, Clinton, Muscatine, East Moline, Maquoketa, Anamosa, Tipton, West Branch, Durant, Mechanicsville, Stanwood, Marion, Coralville, North Liberty, and Silvis. If I just called out your city name, you should probably be taking cover, especially if you live closer to Iowa City. If you're in Durant and Walcott, you should be taking cover probably pretty soon. These storms are only about 25 miles away from you, and they're producing winds of 70 miles per hour. So the leading edge is just entering the Iowa City area. Hopefully our friends in Iowa City are taking cover. Durant, it's about 35 miles away, so you do the quick math, it's moving at 70. You have a half hour until those strong winds reach your area. For the Quad Cities, we're talking, looks like another severe thunderstorm warning coming in, about 50 to 60 miles. Do the quick math, that's about another 10 to 15 minutes there. So about 45 minutes now for the Quad Cities Metro. So the new severe thunderstorm warning includes Dubuque County. It also includes Jones County, Iowa. That one is until 1:15 p.m. So I'll wait for Teresa to kind of jump off that, and then we'll jump into this one. So you can kind of see that one. It looks like out near Worthington, Iowa, Fairleigh, Epworth. They're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for that as well. Another one that does include now Anamosa, Iowa. And these storms that haven't quite reached our southwestern counties. If you live in Columbus Junction, Letts, Morning Sun, Wapello, or Mediapolis, you are going to be dealing with severe thunderstorms as well, with high winds in excess of 65, 70 miles per hour, your primary threat here as you get into the early afternoon. So as it stands right now, the severe weather threat is on the rise for our area. Our first alert day is as advertised, and we'll kind of jump through the rest of this. We're going to try to jump back to our severe wind threat. So here is the hatched lines that we have to the Quad Cities and most of our entire viewing area. Areas highlighted in that shade of pink and purple, about a 45 to 50% chance of having a severe thunderstorm because of those high winds. We already have the severe thunderstorm warnings going off. In fact, you're probably hearing the sirens in the Quad Cities due to the winds in excess of 70 plus miles per hour. That's one of the criteria that we have for our sirens to go off. So the hatch is about a 10% chance of having a 74 mile an hour wind gust or higher within 10 miles of a point. Notice this includes almost the entire viewing area here early this afternoon. So bottom line, within 10 miles of a point of view, it's a pretty good bet that you're going to have showers and thunderstorms producing winds of 70 plus miles per hour. So I'm trying to jump in here, get some more questions from you. Kimberly, just heard it on the radio. Ohio, Illinois, looks like you will be hit sometime in the next couple of hours. Tracy, it's here. Power is out at work. Please be careful. Can we get a warning for Joe Davies County, something south of us? Right now, there's no warning in effect for Joe Davies County, but there's warnings just north of you in southwest Wisconsin, Linnell. So I would imagine you're going to get issued with a severe thunderstorm warning. There's some storms that are just west of Galena and Cascade, Iowa, that are capable of producing winds of 70 miles per hour. So I can kind of zoom in for you right there. Oh, maybe not that far south. But these storms capable of producing winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. And since they're separated from the actual immediate line of storms, they're kind of sustaining on their own, which would maybe give me a little more cause for concern for maybe a spin-up or something like that near Monticello, Iowa. But right now I'm not seeing anything significant on radar from there. The strong winds really are the primary threat. So West Branch, if you know folks there, they should be taking cover right now. There's no more time to really diddle about this. Those storms are going to be arriving in a hurry here early this afternoon. And it looks like the rainfall is something that's not going to be that beneficial. I know areas north of Interstate 80 really need the rain. Unfortunately, these storms, they're moving at 70 miles per hour. So they just don't have the time to produce ample amounts of rain. We need a couple of inches of rain north of I-80. We'll be lucky if we get a half to 3/4 of an inch out of these storms, which is surprising given the fact that they have so much moisture that they're dealing with. So you'd think that flash flooding would be a threat. I just don't see that being a problem here early this afternoon and early this evening. So it looks like we jumped right into the next one. There you go, first alert day as that does restart. So we'll jump right back into our latest severe thunderstorm warnings. Tornado alarms going off in Clinton, Iowa. Yes, Heather, this is what we were talking about. Right now, if you're in Clinton, the sirens are going off for winds in excess of 70 to 80 miles per hour, but you still have quite some time before this arrives. Estimated arrival time would be about 50 minutes for you guys in Clinton that are asking about that storm right now. So yes, the sirens are going to be going off for quite some time because of that. In fact, you might hear them cycle 2 or 3 times before you actually hear that. Looks like we got another new severe thunderstorm warning in now for Des Moines County and Muscatine County. This one will go in effect from 12:42 until 1:30 this afternoon. So there's not a doubt in my mind that we're going to see almost everybody in our viewing area under a severe thunderstorm warning at some point here today. These storms are all producing winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. For those folks that say, oh, is this going to miss us? This is probably going to be the one that you might remember for quite some time because we're just probably not going to miss it. That's just the way it's going to work here today. These storms have so much energy that they're tapping into. There's just no real opportunity for those storms to weaken here right now. Looks like Galesburg, Iowa, and Savannah, Illinois. Got a couple of questions about those individual cities. Galesburg, you still have a couple of hours before anything impacts your area. Savannah, Illinois, you're a little bit closer. You probably hear a couple rumbles of thunder right now, but all the storms are just to your north and west. So here's Savannah as I draw it on the map. Right here next to Sebula, and those storms are just off to your north and west, and you're pretty much on the edge of those sirens that you're probably hearing across the river there in Iowa. So not a big surprise there. For other folks who are talking right now or who are asking me questions, let's see, what's the chance that hail could damage vehicles in northwest Davenport? I think you have a better chance today of having damage from a falling tree or limbs on your car than large hail. The hail may be up to the size of quarters, but I guess if it's getting blown around at 80 miles per hour, that could probably do a little bit of damage as well. But this is something that's going to be more of a high wind event for our area. So right now, we could actually probably put the impact at high across our area, but it includes all of us. So at some point today, the northern and western counties, a little bit sooner than our eastern and southern counties. If you live in the Quad Cities, we're talking about the strongest cells arriving probably around 1:30, is a good bet, if not slightly before that. And we continue to get brand new severe thunderstorm warnings in pretty much everywhere along the Mississippi River here early this afternoon. So we're talking for folks in Sterling Rock Falls that are asking, you still have a couple of hours before this gets to your area. And as it holds together, it might actually be a little bit stronger than that. Yeah, calm in Sebula right now, but you can probably hear a little bit of thunder. We can hear the sirens going off in Sebula. I know they're blowing them in Clinton County right now because I've gotten several reports of that. Yes, for the folks that are asking in Davenport why the sirens are going off, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, but the storm is still quite a ways away. We're talking 45 miles off to our west. So this is going to take at least another half hour to 40 minutes before it reaches our area. So please just be a little bit patient. Sirens are an outdoor warning system. They are not meant to be used for indoors, and it's not telling you that that there's a tornado necessarily, but it's telling us that we have significant severe weather on the way. So just because you're hearing them now and we don't get anything, I don't want you to take this lightly. You have time right now to maybe grab some of your belongings outside, tie them up, bring them inside. I know we had our pool out this weekend, one of those little inflatable pools. I had to go home and put that stuff away because you don't want it blowing around. I brought the outdoor furniture and I put it inside underneath our deck so it was kind of more protected. You have the time to do that right now. The folks that don't have the time are the folks that are right on the leading edge of this. West Liberty is about to just get nailed with some really, really strong winds. Lone Tree, West Branch. In fact, there's this little notch now just north and east of Iowa City that is worth watching here for the possibility of a little spin up. And you can kind of see it here. We're getting both looks like a little bit of green and yellows right next to each other there near West Branch. That would be considered something that is worth noting. Some of these storms are moving so fast that you could have a spin-up tornado here in between scans, and we could never know it. But there's going to be significant widespread wind damage, widespread crop damage as well. The corn is certainly mature. Soybeans are maturing right now, so kind of a worst-case scenario time, and we are starting to get some messages in. Some video, it looks like just outside Iowa City. Unfortunately, I don't have any way to access that right now to share with you guys, but is the wind strong enough to blow off a mask? Asking for a friend. Jacob, thank you for keeping the mood a little bit light here early this afternoon. But we also have those sirens going off in Andover, Iowa. That is correct for the severe thunderstorm warnings that are going on right now. So south of the Quad Cities is safe today. Julie, that is not exactly right. You're just going to see it arriving maybe a little bit later. We're talking maybe about a half hour later or so. But this is a significant thunderstorm complex. One way or another, it's going to be impacting your area. So as we jump into, we're going to try to get to the next graphic here, if we can pull that up. If not, we're just going to stick with what we have, and then maybe I'll have Teresa kind of reset me here in just a second. So, John, when is the expected time for Tipton, Iowa? All right, well, Tipton, obviously not too far away from Durant and Wilton. They're on Interstate 80, so we'll probably say it's going to be moving into your area within the next half hour. Hopefully that's able to help you with those strong winds. When will it hit the Bettendorf, Davenport area? For those of you that are just joining us, if you live anywhere in the Quad Cities metro, you have about 40 to 45 minutes before this starts moving through. If you haven't heard the sirens yet, remember those are just an outdoor warning system, but they are going to go off here this afternoon for all of southeast Iowa, all of west central Illinois. Right now, there's a very, very large severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued by the National Weather Service. This now includes, let's see the counties. We have Henderson County, southwestern Rock Island County, Mercer County, Warren County, Van Buren, Washington, Muscatine County, Henry County, Iowa, Des Moines, Louisa, and Lee and Johnson counties. So essentially all of southeast Iowa and the very western part there of west central Illinois under a severe thunderstorm warning from now until 1:30. Right now, the storm's not quite as strong in that area. We're talking 60-mile-an-hour winds, and we have that officially spotted by storm spotters. Now, the strongest cells are moving through Mount Vernon and Solon here for the time being. And it looks like most of us are just going to continue to hear these sirens cycling off and on over the next couple of hours. So I do not want that to alarm you. You might still have some time, but the farther west of the Quad Cities you live right now, the less of time that you have in order to take advantage of maybe finding your safe spot or getting into getting some of your stuff kind of put away here before these strong winds arrive. I can think those trampolines would be something that could be blowing all over the place here later today. So kind of just waiting on some more updates before I can jump on and give you guys a little something more than what I'm seeing right now. I'm probably going to actually mute myself while I go quickly get a drink of water, as well as kind of scroll through your guys' questions. I'm pretty sure this will pick up my mic while I go and grab that and reset what's going on. But we also have the new news going on.
She just flew out this part of letters or news, so I think she's going for a while now.
Perfect. All right. All right, thank you, Brianna. So if you're just joining us right now, we are live on Facebook Live, but we also have Teresa Bryant that is now live over the air on Channel 6. That is something that we're going to continue to probably do here until this storm blows through the Quad Cities. So I'm going to try not to mess with her graphics too much, and I really can't have any way to pop me up on air other than just this. So we're going to use the radar that I have on my computer, and we're just going to sit here and have a conversation while I pop you guys up and have some questions on my phone. So the more questions you have, the better. First alert days from now up until this afternoon, we know those storms are ongoing. We know that we're going to get them. They're moving from west to east at 70 miles per hour. So let's just jump right back into it here. Looks like we got some questions about, I'm on 280 in Illinois. It's looking like heavy rain coming at me. Yes, there's going to be a very impressive shelf cloud out of the system.
We should probably call captioning.
I will do that right now.
All right, thank you guys.
Kevin, I'm just going to get you some pictures from Ames, Iowa.
All righty, perfect, thank you. We're getting more and more pictures in, not a big surprise from that either. Sirens went off in Muscatine, yes, Sue, you still have some time before they arrive in your area. We live in a trailer, would you suggest us going someplace else? Dana, it depends on how close you are to the most permanent shelter that you have and where you live. If you live more west of the Quad Cities, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble here because those storms are arriving pretty much as we speak. So the next people on the docket would be Stanwood, Tipton, Atalissa, and Wilton, Nichols, Iowa. It is knocking on your doorstep. If you know anybody in Muscatine, now is probably a good time to give them a heads up, which reminds me, I'm texting my wife right now to tell her, make sure that you're getting ready to take cover. So you're right here with me as I'm doing this and making sure my family is safe as well. So the severe thunderstorm warnings, pretty much all of eastern Iowa at this point. You're either going to hear the sirens going off or you're going to have strong winds moving through. So, hey, honey, take cover soon. Soon, severe storm heading towards Muscatine. All right, back on to Facebook Live with you guys. Dallas Tim, what about the southern counties? Mercer and Henry, you are currently under a severe thunderstorm warning in Mercer County and in Henry County, Iowa, that is. But right now, as you jump into Mercer County, it's probably quiet as a mouse. Unfortunately, if we'll just say Joy, Illinois, for instance, you're about 36 miles away from winds that are gusting to 60 and 70 miles per hour. So we're talking Joy, Illinois, New Boston we have down there. You have Aledo, you have Keithsburg. Those are the areas that you're probably going to see the 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. If you live north of that area, we're talking closer to, say, Rock Island County, Clinton County, Carroll, Whiteside County, you're probably going to be more under the gun for what would be considered even stronger winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour. And we've had an issue with that here already this morning in Marshalltown. I think the measured wind gust was 99 miles per hour. So what we're doing right now is we're pretty much in wait and see mode here in the Quad Cities, not saying wait and see what's going to, or we know what's coming. It's more of just wait and see when it arrives and making sure that we've all kind of done our due diligence and taken our necessary precautions. Here's something that's probably going to happen. We're probably going to have some tree limbs down. We're probably going to have some trees that are snapped or uprooted. We're probably going to have some power outages. I don't know what just happened right now, but we just took a power hit at the station. So we're starting this afternoon off rocking and rolling. And with winds of 80 miles per hour and storms moving at 70 miles per hour, you're not going to have a way to even outrun this in a car. It's moving that fast, and that's why we're trying to give you the most heads up that we can get. For instance, right now, Erie, Prophetstown, Hoopole, Geneseo, Kewanee, Galva, a lot of our Illinois communities, you're not under any sort of warning right now. You have a severe thunderstorm watch, but these storms really haven't even come to fruition for you yet. They're still well to the west, and you are outside of that severe thunderstorm warning area. So all is quiet for you guys. Unfortunately, though, these storms might even be stronger by the time they reach some of our Illinois counties as it's tapping into that really warm air. It feels like 100 degrees outside right now where it's not storming. Now, as this front rolls through, we are going to see it's cool down. It also is going to knock down our threat for severe weather here by 4 and 5 o'clock. Starting to hit here in Ottumwa already. I can imagine April is probably coming down pretty good right there, although the stronger cells are now east of you, so you're pretty much done with your severe weather. But we're talking Fairfield, Iowa, Mount Pleasant, New London. Our alarms went off and stopped now. Yeah, well, sorry, babe. That's my wife that's texting me right now. That's still coming. All right. Now let's get back into southeast Iowa, and for everybody that was asking about that. So Burlington, New London, and Fort Madison, you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning. But those severe winds are still about another 40 miles, I would say, west of you. So a little bit closer to the Mount Pleasant area. Specifically, say for Buffalo, Iowa, the strong winds are about 26 miles away. So we're talking about another 20 to 25 minutes before they actually hit. And it looks like, let's do this right now. For folks in Muscatine specifically, the strong winds are about 12 miles away, and it's moving at 70 miles per hour, so about another 10 minutes for your specific area there. Sorry, looking at the latest data coming in on my phone, what it looks like will be a new warning that's probably going to get extended, I would imagine, out to some areas in northwestern Illinois for those cells up there. So let's kind of take a peek at those with you guys as you kind of hang in there and I start answering your questions. You can see that kind of lining up right now from Lamont into Bellevue into Hanover, Elizabeth, Galena. Just not quite into your area yet, but you're going to get some heavy rain, and you're probably going to get some winds gusting up to about 60 miles per hour. I'm in Rochelle heading to Eldridge on I-88. Charlie, you're going to see these storms looking very impressive as you're driving towards them on I-88. We have winds of 80 miles per hour that are heading your direction. So as soon as you see those clouds, I would probably pull over to a rest stop if you can. Get inside, get into the storm shelter. It's probably your best bet. You're not going to be driving into those winds here this afternoon. We are getting some storm damage pictures in. Looks like we have some of these coming in from what appears to be Ames, Iowa. They currently have no power. Looks like that branch right there, I would say, is probably about a foot wide, a foot in width, I would say, all the way around. To get something like that to happen on a real healthy tree, you're talking 75 to 80 mile an hour winds to do that. Here's trees down. Looks like that's continued from Ames, Iowa. And that's just right on cars and stuff, too. Notice how they're all laying in the same direction as well, telling me that that's more of a straight line wind event. And here's something that we don't think about. These storms are moving through areas, not only with mature crops, but we have leaves on all the trees. Those are just picking up more drag, and that just makes it easier to kind of topple them over. If they fall on power lines or something like that, you're most certainly going to have power outages. So this is the type of stuff that we're going to see moving through portions of our area here as we get into this afternoon and into this evening. Let's see, 30 to 40 minutes for Davenport, Rock Island. Thank you, Ryan, for kind of helping me out with some of that. Let's see. Hi, Megan. Good afternoon, Dale. Thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate that. Cedar Rapids, getting a report there that winds are unreal. Yeah. Last report that we had out of there, some storm spotters were saying 80 mile an hour winds. So absolutely amazing how strong some of these are here early this afternoon. We're going to have a busy day here in the Quad Cities and, of course, through much of our viewing area as well. I'm at the U of I, Iowa City. They won't let me look out the window. That's probably a good thing. You're going to want to stay away from the glass. I would take any precaution that you take for a tornado warning. Today would be the day you want to take that. Even though it's just what we would call straight line winds, These are 80, 90, maybe even close to 100 miles per hour. So that can do as much damage as a small tornado, and this is going to happen on a widespread basis. So that's why we're sticking with you here on your Facebook Live here early this afternoon. Currently, the time is 12:58, so we're getting close to the top of the hour. Macomb and Industry, Illinois. We haven't really touched on you guys down there in McDonough County, but right now, most of the strong storms are going to stay just north of you, so we'll continue to kind of watch it. I do think we'll see storms building a little bit farther south of Highway 34, but it is something that is worth noting that if you live south of Highway 34, it appears that the threat for severe weather not quite as high as it is for, say, folks along Interstate 80. If you live between I-80 and Highway 30, so you think Clinton, you think of DeWitt, Grand Mound, you head over to Clinton and to Fulton, those type of areas, those are probably going to be the most prone areas to those winds gusting upwards of 40 to 50, or I'd say upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour. Watch out, it's rain. No, it doesn't look like the ark's done. Our family stood and portion watched it all. What time from Moline? The winds will be blowing from west to east out of this. That will be the main take home from that. Let's see, right now we're going to focus in on, it looks like Muscatine County. If I can kind of help you guys, or maybe you guys can help me see that. We're talking folks from Wilton to Muscatine to Fruitland and Letts. This is where we're seeing the strongest winds right now. Those are the folks that really need to be taking cover as we speak. In fact, West Liberty to Atalissa, where we see those deeper blues, that's what the radar is estimating, upwards of 80 to 90 mile an hour winds. Where we have these lighter blues near Nichols, Iowa, that's about a few miles west of Muscatine. You're in the lighter blues, that's 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So this is pretty substantial, but the highest winds are certainly going to be located from Clarence, Iowa to Lost Nation, down through Durant, Walcott, Port Byron, Comanche, and Clinton. These are the areas that are going to be most threatened, I think, with those really strong winds. So you can kind of see those moving through what would be our extreme western and northwestern counties. That is where right now radar is estimating winds in excess of 80, 90, and maybe even 100 miles per hour. South of I-80 winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So those in itself are no slouch, to say the least, but the strongest of the winds look to be north of Interstate 80 here early this afternoon. So Brett, that would include Maquoketa, and Maquoketa is within this circle here. I guess maybe it's a little bit north of it, but as you get into Jackson County, Iowa, you're certainly going to be seeing some of these stronger winds here over the next couple of hours. In fact, if you live on the Iowa side of the river, it's going to be happening here very shortly. So let's kind of put this in animation mode. And this goes back only about 15 to 20 minutes, so you can just see how fast these storms are moving. In fact, sorry. You probably can't see that if I don't put it up there for you. Right now, you just clarified facing ETA for Rock Falls. Rock Falls is something that we touched on a little bit earlier, but we'll kind of try to drag this out for you. So the leading edge is out near Wilton, Iowa. So right now we're talking about 25 miles, or I should say about 30 miles there. Oh my gosh, I can get this going from Davenport and the Quad Cities. It's about 75 miles per hour, or 75 miles here from the Sterling Rock Falls area. So if theirs are moving east to about 70, it's more than likely going to be in your area. We'll call it in the next hour to hour and a half. So for some of our Illinois counties, now is the time to probably start taking your precautions. So as I start calling out some of your cities here, we're going to talk in Linden, Prophetstown, Tampico, Sterling, Kewanee, Cambridge, Galva, Alpha, Woodhull, Rio. You still have about another hour before any significant weather hits your area. But this is now the time to start taking your precautions, because these storms are moving at 70 miles per hour to the east. And right now we have the strong winds moving right into the western portion of our viewing area. So right now Muscatine County is getting hammered with some strong winds and some very heavy rain that's about to push into Conesville and Fruitland, just to the west there of Muscatine, which I believe will be out there in Nichols, Iowa. It's already moved through Iowa City. So guys, we've only been on Facebook Live here for about a half hour, and we've seen the storm go all the way from western Johnson County pretty much into Cedar County. Johnson County is about 40 miles wide, so this storm is moving very, very fast. And if you are traveling on a north or southbound roadway, now is a really good idea to maybe find a place to get off and get into a rest area, get into a sturdy building, because those crosswinds are going to be enormous here as this is making a beeline for the Quad Cities. So Eldridge, Parkview, McCausland, DeWitt, Grand Mound, you need to be taking your precautions immediately as these storms are capable of producing those 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. I am in the OTT news desk, which is in our newsroom. Sounds like we're getting a little bit more information in here. If you're joining us or you want to join us on the air over on Channel 6, Eric Maitland just walked into the building, and we also have Teresa Bryant on air carrying our coverage, and looks like they're updating us on the latest severe thunderstorm warnings there. So we'll kind of stick with us here on both platforms, and we'll continue to kind of monitor the situation. We'll take this step by step as these storms are really starting to gain a little bit of steam. And we kind of talked about that earlier, is that these storms were all going to be capable of producing at least 70, 80 mile an hour winds earlier today. But right now, these storms are just moving so fast that we're having even a tough time keeping up with them on radar, it seems like. Let's see if we can get back to a different graphic here that will jump. Let's see here. All right, let's see. Is it coming to Delmar, Iowa? Yes, it is. Temperatures right now are in the 80s. We're in the 90s in Princeton and Kewaunee. So the reason I point this out, this is the type of air that these storms are going to be tapping into. 91 degrees in Galesburg, 91 Kewaunee, 88 in Rock Falls. Humidity factored in. It feels close to the triple digits, if not warmer than that here early this afternoon. So this means that these storms are likely going to strengthen as they encounter some of this really favorable air for showers and thunderstorms. So let's see. I'm not exactly sure this is the exact graphic that I want to go to, but we'll see here. Looks like that different one. Sky cam looking a little bit dark here as we've turned it off to the west. That looks pretty nice. In fact, we'll take a peek at that. These storms are about 70 miles away, or I'd say about 45, 50 miles an hour away from the Quad Cities. You can kind of see what appears to be a little bit of a shelf cloud here. We're not cloudy again, we certainly are not, but you can kind of see that there off in the distance, which shouldn't be a big surprise here. As those storms are now entering areas from Wilton. Durant is next on the docket. So if I call your city out right now or your town, you should be taking cover immediately. So this would mean Bennett, Iowa, New Liberty, Wilton, Durant, Muscatine, Fruitland, Letts, and Grandview. All of you need to be taking cover right now as this storm is going to be moving into your area, capable of producing 60 to 80 mile an hour winds. Extremely strong. Something that we know that we do not see very often. For those of us that are thinking, hey, maybe this just blow through, it's going to blow through, that's for sure. Unfortunately, it might blow through with really, really, really strong winds. We can see that this line extends all the way up into northwest Illinois now. So from Epworth to Dubuque, all the way up to Galena, back through Dyersville and Central City, Iowa. This is just a perfect classic bow echo by any citizen of nature. This is textbook here. In fact, they would probably put this in your severe thunderstorm spotting class in terms of a bow echo. What is expected to hit Maquoketa? Live in a mobile home. So Maquoketa right now, you are about, let's see, here's Olin, here's Maquoketa. You're about 20 miles away from the leading edge of what would be some really, really strong winds. So these storms are moving 70 miles per hour to the east. You probably still have 10, 15 minutes before the storm gets to your area. Not a whole lot of lead time for you. What radio channel do you use? Right now, we're not on radio with this, I believe. Davenport, Bettendorf area, we're talking within the next hour. What about Sebula? Guys, in Sebula and Savannah area, you're right on the edge of the thunderstorm warning. So if you think of Carroll County, well, you're just across the river from Iowa. You're not under severe thunderstorm warning yet, but you will be. There's not a doubt in my mind that that's going to get issued here. And they'll probably do that relatively shortly. By the time it gets to Charlotte and DeWitt, they'll probably extend this from Morrison, Sterling, Prophetstown, Milledgeville, Lanark, Mount Carroll, all of those areas as well. So that should cover Sebula and Savannah for you. Let's see, right now the time is 1:04. You can kind of see right now the radar is probably a good estimation. These storms are moving into DeWitt. I should say into Durant right now, and it's only, well, that's 20 miles to the west here of the Quad Cities. So turn the velocity on. Let's kind of take a look at what the radar's estimating. It's close enough that it should be fairly accurate right now. Wilton looks like we're estimating somewhere between 75 and what would be getting close to 80 miles an hour. Those deeper blues from West Branch to North Liberty, I think is a little bit of noise. It's a little bit shooting up high in the clouds. But right now, those strong winds are just entering Durant. New Liberty, it's pretty much right in your neighborhood. Muscatine, it should be moving through right now. And then the strong winds are now going to take aim at Wyoming, Oxford Junction, Lost Nation, Toronto, Wheatland, Calamus, and eventually Grand Mound. Maysville, Walcott, and Bluegrass, you're next on the docket, so you should be taking cover right now. As we go south, find your thunderstorm safe space. Remember, duck, get downstairs underneath something, stay away from windows, and cover yourself. That's the best way you can protect yourself, whether it's a severe thunderstorm capable of producing these winds of 80 miles per hour, or if it's a tornado. So that's what we want you to do here as we get into your early afternoon hours. So I'm trying to pull up a couple of things for us. So we'll just leave this right here, and I'll pop up before we mess with Teresa's live on-air stuff. So yes, if you're just joining us, a first alert day is in effect from now up until the afternoon. We've heard sirens probably going off and on. If you live in the Quad Cities, you're probably wondering what the heck is going on. Well, these storms are still well off to the west. It's going to take some time for them to reach here, but I would say within the next half hour, they're going to be knocking on our doorstep. That's why we're giving you as much lead time as we possibly can here early this afternoon. So right now, folks continuing to ask some questions. I'm texting a couple of people. I have some friends that are storm spotters out there right now. I'm trying to get them to send me some pictures and confirm some things for me so I can pass those along to you and pass those along to the National Weather Service. But let's see here. All right. Let's see, we have, go somewhere else for the afternoon. Yes, that would be nice. US 34, Henderson County. Actually, right now, Henderson County not quite under a severe thunderstorm warning. I guess maybe northwestern edge there is of Monmouth, or I should say of Henderson and Warren counties. So you'll see that storm arriving within the hour. It looks like we don't have any new updates out of that just yet, but there's got to be some brand new updates coming out, or this bot just did not want to work here today. That's all right. I would fully expect to see more severe thunderstorm warnings issued for northwest Illinois here pretty shortly, but right now looks like damage of a semi blown over at the I-380 southbound at the Swisher exit. That's how strong the winds are right now. Widespread damaging winds reported all over Cedar Rapids of 70 to 100 miles per hour. That's what was being reported here already this afternoon. So we're going to continue to see this rolling. If you live north of the Quad Cities, you certainly have the threat for 80 to 90 mile an hour winds here this afternoon. So let's kind of put this into animation and we'll zoom in on areas. It looks like now from Fruitland, the storms are moving through. Muscatine, you're probably seeing the rain come down, and it looks like I'll even draw a little bit of a line on this. I think I can start to see where that strong line of wind is about to move through. So it looks like from Mediapolis to Oakville to New Boston, that line of strong wind should be arriving shortly. So that means Joy, Keithsburg, Seton, Aledo, Matherville, and Reynolds, you are next to see that moving into your area. As you move further north towards the Quad Cities, not quite as pronounced, but it's this little echo here that's right on the apex of the bow where I'm starting to get a little bit concerned for maybe of a spin up here moving through Durant or Walcott. So those are the areas that we need to watch very closely. The apex of the bow and also the ends of the bow echo is where we start to see some rotation. So as we turn this on, that's where we see a little bit of, I can't really see too much rotation out of it, but when you get those notches, it's something that's worth noting. You can kind of see that we have some of these blues in here that correspond with what would be 80 to 75 mile an hour winds right now in Durant, pushing towards Walcott. Remember, these storms that move through Cedar Rapids, widespread damage, 70 to 100 mile per hour wind gust here associated with them as well. Truck driver says trees blown down in Cedar Rapids. Yeah, that's not a big surprise. Thanks, Brianna. Appreciate that. Here early this afternoon. So I would imagine if that's what they're seeing there, you can probably best believe that we're going to be seeing that to moving into areas from Grand Mound to Wheatland and to Loudon as well. So we're kind of just waiting to batten down the hatches in some of these areas. But from Tipton to Stanwood, Clarence, and Mechanicsville, you're in the thick of it right now. How long will it last once it gets here? About 20 to 30 minutes in any one given location. It'll be really strong winds initially, Amy, and then eventually you'll see it transition into really heavy rain, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, and you're still going to have 40 to 50 mile an hour winds even within these cells as they're moving through. So we're going to continue to monitor this situation here for you. We might as well just stay on Facebook Live here. You guys can keep sending me reports on Facebook Live. That actually do me a big favor as well, because I don't have too many options to kind of cycle through some things. But it looks like my keyboard is not connected over here. So we'll do this from another computer, I believe. Right now, we're tracking this through Stephanie. You better get your chickens tied down at Geneseo. I've had a couple of folks ask about Geneseo right now. So as we head out that way, it looks like on Interstate 80, you're just outside the warning area. In fact, Kelowna, Cleveland, you guys are just on the outside of the warning area as well. but those strong winds are going to be heading there right now. Sirens went off in Eldridge and Iowa twice. It's not here yet. Yes, Savannah, that is something that I would like to point out. This severe thunderstorm warning was issued well in advance. We're talking over an hour in advance because of the tenacity of these storms. 70, 80, 90 mile an hour winds are nothing to mess with. So yes, we had the sirens going off twice. They're probably going to go off again. That's just protocol here. We have to blow them on a county-wide basis. That's why we ask that you have the QC weather app to give you more location-based warnings, but at the same time, it's giving you the heads up that, hey, severe weather's coming, and it gives you time to maybe prepare, maybe get your stuff inside, and to prepare yourself for what could be a little bit of a rough patch in our weather pattern here in the Quad Cities. So, trying to re-rack this here for you early this afternoon as we're waiting to see if I can get my graphics sent back to what I used to have it as, but it doesn't look like it wants to go. Sometimes our technology doesn't always like to cooperate with us. But as we're taking a look at radar, you can kind of tell that these severe thunderstorm warnings include all of eastern Iowa. Right now, we're starting to see this move into Dixon, Iowa. Calamus, Wheatland, right now, you should be taking cover immediately. Same goes for Bluegrass, Buffalo, and Andalusia. I would suggest that you take cover immediately as well because those storms are really just about to hammer down on your area. Looks like what we're tracking. Let's see here. Actually, this is a pretty good graphic. If I can get back to it. There. Let's see. I want to get a picture of this shelf cloud to show you guys. I can kind of see it now on our sky cams. Here's a brief look at it right here. So you can kind of see it. In fact, we'll take that full screen. That's looking due west here from on top of the TV6 tower. You can kind of see some stratification out of this. So you can kind of see these levels moving up, showing you how strong these storms are. There's a lot of wind that's being pushed out. And as this wind is pushed out, it kind of curls itself back up. And that kind of is what gives us that shelf cloud. But you can see we have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's telling you that this is pushing out a lot of rain and a lot of wind, and it's kind of a good look at what's heading our way here this morning. I should say this afternoon. I'm used to saying this morning here all the time. But right now, with that camera pointed due west, this storm is 10 miles to our west. So if we were pretty much to sit on this for a while, you would likely see those scattered storms, those strong storms really beginning to roll in. This notch is something that I'm kind of concerned about here and going to keep a close eye on out there near Durant. Looks like we're starting to maybe see a little bit of wrapping in here. It would be from Walcott through Stockton. Let's say right in this area. It would be something that's worth watching. Let's see. I'm going to roll through some of these other comments. Muscatine heavy winds. Kyle, do you have an estimation about how strong those winds are here this afternoon? Because you're pretty much in the thick of it. I'm starting to see the shelf cloud in Elizabeth. Not a big surprise. Let's see what else we got here. I'm going to zoom out. We're going to turn this on. A new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Whiteside County and Cedar County until 2:15 p.m. Yeah, that's Cedar County, Iowa. That's a pretty big warning that we just got issued for the area. Let's see here. This one includes all of Rock Island County, northwestern Rock Island County, Mercer County, Henry County, Illinois, Carroll County, Illinois, Jackson County, Eastern Cedar County, all of Scott County, Jones County, Muscatine County until 2:15. We have winds of 70 miles per hour, the hazard 80 to 100 mile per hour winds for that new latest severe thunderstorm warning that includes all of the Quad Cities metro and pretty much a large portion of our viewing area here this afternoon. So if you live in Parkview, DeWitt, Welton, Charlotte, Reynolds, New Boston, Keithsburg, Aledo, Viola, Matherville, Cole Valley, and Moline, please take cover immediately. Right now we're getting some power outages here into the station. It looks like Alliant Energy reports widespread outages in Iowa due to severe weather. Power lines down, and before restoration can begin, there will be many trees to clear. So as soon as it's safe to do so, Alliant Energy crews are going to be beginning to assess the situation and working to restore services. As of right now, there's no timetable for the restoration of it, probably because we have to wait until the storms pass and until we can kind of start cleaning some of these debris situations up. Looks like we're getting some other reports in. This one comes in from City Tomlinson from Alliant Energy saying that the storms are moving so fast that they're going to be able to keep up with demand until after the storms have moved through. So bottom line right now, if you lose power, I'd probably say it's a good bet you're going to be without it here for at least a few hours early this afternoon. Not a big surprise because we've had a history of these storms producing winds of 70, 80, and even 90 miles per hour. So you can kind of see that in the latest severe thunderstorm warning that we were talking about, I was going to say was going to get issued fairly shortly there for Carroll County in Illinois. Yeah, well, here we are now. It includes Lanark, Milledgeville, Prophetstown, the Sterling Rock Falls area, Sheffield, and Atkinson, Illinois. Also includes Geneseo. So I was just trying to answer that question there for you guys over on Geneseo, but it's going to be there fairly soon. So as we jump into some of these other questions, I wonder how Davenport is doing. Hey, well, Davenport right now, we are very close. In fact, here's a look out of our sky cam. It is looking dangerously dark out there right now. In fact, quite ominous looking back to the west. So that is what's going to be moving through here over the next, we'll say, 10 to 15 minutes. I expect it to get pretty strong or pretty windy here over the next few minutes as well. Where it's raining, Muscatine, the sensor, is actually reporting a temperature of 66 degrees right now, showing you that it's gotten significantly cooler here where it has rain. I'm going to mute my... All right. So the latest severe thunderstorm warning now includes all of eastern Iowa and northwestern Illinois. Right now, for the folks in the Quad Cities, Central Quad Cities, it's 9 miles to your west. It's literally knocking on the doorstep in Buffalo, Andalusia, and Walcott. As we turn on the velocity for you, this will tell us where we're seeing the strongest winds. Right now, it appears to be just north of Bluegrass. Not saying it's not going to get windy from Muscatine through Andalusia, but we're talking closer to Bluegrass and Walcott. This is where we have the 60 to 80 mile an hour winds right now from to be Clinton, or I say from Dixon through Calamus, Maysville, Walcott. So it appears to be the strongest wind threat and be located. I'm going to circle it in this area right here. Maybe that can help us get a better idea if you guys can see yourself on the map. So from Davenport to Maysville to Eldridge to Parkview to McCausland and Princeton, I would say you guys have the best chance to see what would be 80 mile an hour winds here as we get into the next hour or so. Let's see, we'll jump over to this right now. Here's kind of a look out to our west. Damaging winds are going to be our primary threat with severe thunderstorms that are going to be rolling through here over the next couple of hours. So pretty much from now until 5 p.m., we can actually cover up that 3. We'll make it a 4. Yeah, we got upgraded to a moderate risk on our scale of 1 to 5, and 5 is the highest. This puts it at a 4. This is not something that happens very often. Maybe 1, maybe 2 times a year, if not once every other year. So this is a pretty rare occasion for us, and you can kind of see this line of storms now extends from Dubuque. You can kind of see it bowing. The more that this bows, the stronger it becomes. And specifically, we're right on the apex of it here in the Quad Cities in northern Scott County and Clinton County. That's where I expect to see those strongest winds, maybe of 70, 80, 90, or even 100 miles an hour. We've had reports in Cedar Rapids of widespread tree damage. So this is quickly rolling into the Quad Cities area. It looks like I just got another text, but that is not what we're looking at here. Wider spread look shows once these storms do pass through, especially if you live south and west of the Quad Cities, you're likely going to see that rain come to an end very, very quickly. So it could be a short-lived event in southeast Iowa, but for folks along the north of Interstate 80, this is certainly going to be something that's going to be around here for at least the next few hours. As I take a look at some of your other questions, dark clouds entering West Davenport, winds increasing. Port Byron, Illinois, you're going to be on a similar timeline here as the Quad Cities. So we're talking, let's see, within the next 10 to 15 minutes. We have a lot of energy these storms are tapping into. In fact, it's almost off the scale on the high to very high end. We're in the 80s and 90s. There's just nothing to stop these storms from not developing because there's so much energy. So I think by 5 o'clock, a lot of the storms will be just west, say, of Kewaunee and Rock Falls. So from now up until, we'll say, 2 and 3 this afternoon is going to be our time frame for this severe weather here today. And in terms of our individual outlooks, we got a new severe thunderstorm warning in. Let's see who this one is for. Looks like this one is going to be for Joe Davies in Jones County, Iowa. So let's kind of take a peek what's going on up that way. I'm going to guess that this is going to contain winds of 65 to 75 miles per hour because that kind of just corresponds with everything else that we've had going on here early this afternoon. So that goes in effect from now up until 2:15 this afternoon. So that storm is moving east at 50 miles per hour. It's located along Highway 20, and this is going to contain winds of 60 miles per hour. So we're talking about folks from St. Donatus through Galena, through Menominee, through Scales Mound, into Elizabeth and Stockton and Bellevue. You can kind of see that just highlighted right there. That will expire in the next 53 minutes. That's one of the few that's actually giving us a severe thunderstorm warning because of that large hail. But again, as we get into the rest of today, it is the high winds that are our primary threat here this afternoon. My goodness, I don't remember the last time we've seen ourselves in a hatched situation. What that tells you is that we're seeing those winds in excess of 70 miles per hour or more. So yes, really, really strong here early this afternoon. And you can kind of see that there on the sky cam as I kind of draw that up. We're starting to get a couple of raindrops here on our sky cam, or our sky view, so that's not a big surprise. As in fact, here's a look at our actual radar here early this afternoon. Right now, just a couple of, looks like raindrops here in the Quad Cities and in Davenport. Let's see. If you're changing stuff in frame sync, Brianna, I would say frame sync. I don't want to do frame sync 3 because that's what I have my Apple TV tied into. Try frame sync 4. All right, it gives me a little time to get a little bit of breather in here and open up another app to see what we have for storm reports, along with what else you guys are saying here on our Facebook Live feed. So thank you guys for joining us and kind of hanging out as we're going through on our Facebook Live feed as well as our OTT. You can get us obviously anywhere here right now, and we'll be cutting in periodically over TV6 here as we get into this afternoon. But pretty much from now up until the rest of this afternoon, we're going to be dealing with really strong winds. Cedar Rapids reported winds of 70, 80, 90, and even 100 miles per hour here this afternoon. That is exactly what's moving through our area here right now. So you can see some dark clouds in Bettendorf, winds slowly increasing. It is just pretty much knocking on our doorstep right now, guys. So from Eldridge to Parkview to Rock Island, we're talking from Andalusia to Oak Grove to Reynolds, Illinois, Aledo. You need to be taking cover right now. Winds in excess of 70 to 80 miles per hour. And that sky view is starting to look a little bit more ominous as we speak. I'm going to see if I can get back to sky view here for some of our hits, because that's going to be something that's probably going to be worth sitting on here and watching it as it rolls into the area. So right now, those darker clouds that you see just off to the west, that is what we're seeing producing some of these stronger winds. So right now what we have is just some light rain that's rolling into the Quad Cities, but it's certainly dark. In fact, I'm just looking out to the lobby here over my right shoulder. That is as dark as it is when I come in at 2:30 in the morning. So shows you how dark those clouds are. Looks like we got another new severe thunderstorm warning that's just coming in for southeast Iowa, Des Moines County, also into Bureau County, Illinois as well. So this is another really big severe thunderstorm warning. And what we're trying to do is give you guys as much lead time as we can with this. So yes, this is the initial wave of light rain, but you can see just off to the distance, heavy downpours. You can't even make out Centennial Bridge around there anymore. And in fact, you look way off in the distance, you can't see much of anything. So all the strong winds are going to arrive here. I would say within the next 10 minutes in the Quad Cities, the rain and the heavy rain has certainly arrived. But let's turn on the velocity here and I can give you the exact idea of where those strong winds are and the relation they are into the Quad Cities. So if you live in Rock Island, those winds of 40 miles per hour are, we'll say about 4 or 5 miles away. If you live in Eldridge, you're going to see those really strong winds. They're in Maysville right now. That estimation in Maysville is about 70 to 85 mile an hour winds based on what we were talking about earlier. I can get off this. There we go. I don't need that draw tool on anymore. So these deep blues, that corresponds with 75 mile an hour winds. So these are between Maysville and Walcott and the northern Quad Cities. So we're talking on the Iowa side of the river, Eldridge, Long Grove, Parkview, Davenport, Bettendorf, and Princeton, Iowa. Take cover now. There is no more time. Donahue, it's pretty much in your area right now. Those winds of 65 miles per hour or greater are heading in your direction. DeWitt, McCausland, Lowmore. Take cover now. We have straight line winds coming in from west to east of 70 miles per hour plus. This is why your sirens have been going off and on and off here over the last 45 minutes. That was in preparation for now. All right, so there's no more time that you can waste. Get into your basement, get into the most interior room of your house if you don't have a basement, and get as many walls as you can between you and the outside world. I have to imagine we're probably going to get some pictures of trampolines or something that's been thrown from somebody's yard several hundred yards away. That's just what we're going to be dealing with here this afternoon as these severe thunderstorm warnings have now continued to expand all of northwest Illinois, all of Kewanee, Neponset to the Sheffield, Manlius. This is, I can't tell you, this is pretty much the entire viewing area is what we're dealing with right now. It looks like we just had another little power hit here at the station, and not a big surprise is there's a ton of lightning associated with these storms as well. But man, this line is maturing right now as it's going through Rock Island, Buffalo, some very heavy rain, Dixon, Wheatland, Grand Mountain. You can kind of see a little bit of separation here from the front line. That's telling you that those winds are starting to maybe get out a little bit ahead of it, which means it might be cycling a little bit, which might be some good news for Lowmore, McCausland, and the Comanche area. Maybe winds not quite as strong, but all things considered, this is going to be a pretty potent storm as it rolls through, regardless of where you're at. In fact, you can kind of see who's seen it and who hasn't right now. Areas on the Illinois side of the river sitting in the 90s, it feels like 100 degrees. That's the really energetic atmosphere these storms are tapping into. But where we've seen the rain, it's cooled you off into the 60s. Notice that Iowa City has recovered very quickly back into the 80s right now. So shows you how fast this moves through and how quickly you're going to warm up right afterwards. So some really dark clouds out there right now as you kind of take a wider look at things. I have the satellite turned on. So there's widespread sunshine from Princeton, even into Sterling, maybe starting to see some of those clouds arrive. But that shelf cloud is pretty much right into the Quad Cities right now. And like I said, I can tell you it looks really dark just looking out over Brady Street here early this afternoon. But just when I turn the lightning on, what this is telling me is we're starting to see this more contained areas up along Highway 20, Highway 30. That's more than likely where we're going to see a lot of our tornadic threat. You're closer to the front, you're closer to the boundary, but it's going to be this area now from Clinton to Savannah where we have a lot of this lightning here that I'm going to be more concerned with for the really, really strong winds. We're still going to have severe weather here from the Quad Cities southward, but we're talking northern Scott County, Clinton County, Jackson County, Iowa, and as you get into Carroll and Whiteside counties and Joe Davies County as well. Those are going to be the main areas where we're expecting those 70+ mile-per-hour winds now, and that's all just being told on what we're looking at here is that lightning becoming far more abundant in those areas, and the closer you live to the Wisconsin border, the better chance you're going to have for it looks to be a brief spin-up tornado. So I'm going to jump back onto some of these comments here, and I can hopefully get to all of you, or at least as many of you as I can here early this afternoon. Dark and scary in Eldridge, Savannah. I hope you're taking cover right now. You want us to go back to the sky cam? Let's see if I can go back to that right now. How about now? Here's what our sky cam is looking like right now live just outside the TV6 studio. Ariana, it's pretty much in your area right now. Hanging out at the shower house at Fairport State Park, that's a really good idea, a place so you can get out of it, although I'm sorry that you had to do that while you're out there. In Bennington, Nebraska, they had winds of 77 miles per hour this morning. Lots of wind and rain in Reynolds. Yeah, it's moving through right now. Sterling, it is not quite in your area just yet. If you're joining us, if you're trying to join us on TV6, it looks like we're just starting to break in right now with Chief Meteorologist Eric Maitland on the air. We'll stick with you here on our Facebook Live that we have set up right now. We'll turn radar back on for you as well. Here we are in the Quad Cities. We're pretty much right now going to be in the thick of it here. I can actually hear it raining a little bit on top of the studio. But our strongest winds here now looks like to be contained to areas near Calamus, near Dixon, looks like near Donahue, Maysville. Sorry, listen to Marcia in the back room. Let's see, Sterling, Illinois, Chris. Hey, Chris, what's it like at your house? How long for Bettendorf and Davenport? It's here in Bettendorf right now. Or I should say in Davenport, the rain is, the strong winds. We're getting power flashes, or not power flashes, we're getting lots of power hits here at the station. You can kind of see just kind of go dim here for a second. But that's pretty much what we have going on right now. A lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. High winds now from Maysville to Eldridge. They're about to enter Long Grove. They're about to enter DeWitt. So get ready for some really, really strong winds. In fact, as we track this one particular sellout, looks like by 1:32 it'll be in DeWitt. It's in Wheatland right now. So the strong winds will be in DeWitt by 1:32, so the next 2 minutes. Looks like near Albany is going to be, the Skycam just went out, guys. Yeah, Skycam, it looks to be, just went out on us. Or Max 2 must have just went out. Because that's what I was using over here. So yeah, Max 2 just went out. So I'll stick with, yeah, I'm still on, so I'll just stick with my radar, guys. Bear with us as we have just lost at least a little bit of power somewhere in the station. So the strongest winds, you can kind of see that highlighted in the purple and blue area. So actually I can kind of sit down and we'll just have a chat, and I'll pull up my other computer. And we'll kind of just play around here until I can actually get our other weather graphics back that we're going to need in order to substantially continue this Facebook Live on here. Wait, we just got branches and trees are falling in Bettendorf.
Just called. He can put his TVU Anywhere app up also, but
no power in Calamus right now. That's from Julie. North of LeClaire. Oh, it's just south. I'm in Eldridge. It just got scary.
Teresa's working on Max too, Kevin.
Thank you. All right, so Eldridge, this is where we're just starting to see some of those really strong winds. Ariana, I know you keep asking for the time in Bettendorf and Davenport. It's now. You should be taking cover. It's now. You don't have any more time. Even if you have a minute or two, that's still not enough to do a whole lot. Lots of cloud. It's dirt blown, smoke or clouds. Tiffany, I can't quite tell where that is at right now, but there's a lot of wind that's being pushed out of these cells, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some dust. It's been really dry out there, especially north of Interstate 80. No power in Parkview, so maybe we can start to pull up or grab some numbers here. I don't have a keyboard, do I? Of numbers, let's see. Yeah, of course it's not working. All right, a neighbor just came out and said that there's a tornado warning issue for Joe Davies County, came on his phone. I don't have that information. There's no tornado warning for Joe Davies County. I don't have anything of that nature. I would have gotten that before it was issued. So that is not true. But you have strong winds of 70 miles per hour. I can tell you that for Joe Davies County. Just got a little scary in Bettendorf. Sirens going off in Clinton again. That's because we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for another 41 minutes in Clinton. So here's the latest update on it. Let's see, that was issued 15 minutes ago. 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts are the hazard. We have had train spotters. It's had a history of producing of 80 to 90-mile-an-hour winds. We now have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's now, it looks like, for Stark County and Knox County, Illinois, till 2:30 this afternoon. So these are very, very dangerous storms. I don't care what part of the viewing area you live in. This is all going to impact your area, whether you get 60 mile an hour of wind or if you get those 80 to 90-mile-an-hour winds that we're seeing right now here. Just about to enter Dixon, Walcott, looks like Bennett and Tipton and Loud. Man, they could have some really strong winds there. Radar would generally estimate those to be somewhere in that 100-mile-per-hour range. Again, that's kind of shooting a little bit higher up in the clouds. But we're starting to see these heavy winds transition to East Moline, Cedar Rapids, or say Rapid City, into LeClaire, into Princeton, Illinois, McCausland, Lowmore, Comanche, and Charlotte. You guys are all next on the docket for some of these really strong winds. The initial wave, in fact, of those strong winds. But I'm thinking now, based on what we're seeing on radar, would be some of these really strong winds in the Dixon to Donahue, Grand Mound, and Delmer, Iowa, Maquoketa. And these are going to be heading towards Andover, Miles, Preston, Sebula, Thompson, Erie, Hillsdale, Cleveland, Kelowna. If I just called out your city, there's a good bet that you're going to see some really strong winds, as well as the possibility of those winds getting close to 90 miles an hour. This is lasting forever. Starts out in the south and then switches to the north. Take care, people. You're probably not going to be able to tell which way in general the winds are coming from, but in general, they are going to be moving from west to east here as you get into those afternoon, or I say pretty much as it rolls through, say, McCausland and Comanche. Let's see, stranded at Sam's Club in Bettendorf. Hopefully they got everybody. I mean, I know social distancing should be required, but if you're all trying to stay out of those high winds, it's just getting to the bathroom. No power in Moline. Remember, I did get a couple of emails in earlier. We have some representatives from Alliant Energy that were saying severe weather is moving through Iowa. That's causing significant damage and widespread power outages. Power lines are down, and before restoration can begin, they got to get rid of a lot of trees. So the bottom line is, if you lose power, it could be several hours before you get it back. Power just went out in Moline. Looks like anybody know if there's power at West Davenport by the fairgrounds? I don't know right now, Christy, but I'm just basing it off what we're hearing around the area that you're probably not going to have power here very soon. I'm trying to keep an eye on what's going on some of our, I don't have Sky came up anymore, but I can see some trees out there on Brady Street that look to be blown around pretty good. Got no power in Rock Island. 2 minutes into the storm and the power's out in Davenport. Rachel, where are you at? That kind of gives us a better idea. Yeah, here's a good point. And no tornadoes have been spotted. Correct, Lexi. We have not had any reports of tornadoes just yet. But here's one thing that I want to point out. Everybody's like, oh, well, it never hits my area. But Piper McKenzie, I think, is saying it pretty well. Anyone who hasn't gotten it yet, it's not a joke at all. It took out our fire pit cover and threw it like a Frisbee. It threw it right through our shed. Be safe. I mean, that's how strong these winds are. 90-mile-an-hour winds could, on this widespread basis, could be just as damaging as a smaller tornado, or we just continue to get little power flickers here at the station in the Quad Cities. So it looks like we have a radar pulled up. I don't know if that's the exact one that we want to use, but I don't want to jump off of it here in order to get, I don't want to mess Eric up here. Let's see. Never mind, lots of it. Bettensdorf still has power. Well, hey, you're lucky. Power out by Bettendorf and Home Depot. Okay, near Garfield Elementary School in West Davenport. So we're probably starting to get a lot of mid-American customers now on the Iowa side of the river that are without power. So it's still blowing hard in Wilton. That's actually really, really good to know because right now, let's get to the end of this. 135. So Wilton, the heavy rain and everything's past you, but if the wind is still blowing, I mean, that's pretty incredible here. In fact, radar's estimating at 60 miles per hour still. The strong winds are now entering Donahue, Dixon, and Clarence. I mean, it's just blowing like crazy out there. And not a big surprise. Let's see if we can have storm tracks. Surprised I don't have more reports coming in from this. But those strong winds are now entering Lowmore, Comanche, Albany, Fulton, Thompson, Andover. You're going to have those really strong winds really entering the picture right now. So I'm just going to circle this area. It's going to include Savannah, Hillsdale, Geneseo, Orion, Cambridge, Atkinson, Linden, Erie, Prophetstown, Chadwick, and Milledgeville. I just circled your area. Take cover now. Those strong winds are certainly coming quickly. Where in Northwest Davenport we left our home, and we'll be worried we have no power when we get home. Dana, it sounds like power's out near that area, but Northwest Davenport by Truman still has it. Burlington, I'm scared. You shouldn't be too scared down in Burlington. You're going to have some gusty winds, but they're not going to be in the range of the 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. I think these are going to be about 65, maybe 70. That's still pretty darn strong. That's why we issue severe thunderstorm warnings. But for the folks in the Burlington, Hancock County in Illinois, and McDonough, so we're talking Macomb and those areas, we're talking 60 mile an hour winds. Looks like we're expecting this between mile markers 24 and 33 on 74. Looks like we're getting some storm damage sent in to us on Harrison Street here in downtown Davenport. I haven't quite been able to kind of scroll over to it. It's been in Bettendorf. Power's out in East Davenport now. I can still tell you the winds look like they're howling pretty good right now. Right here, just out on Brady Street Hill. I can barely make it out. Let's see. Power's out at the Betplex, or near the Betplex. How about Andalusia? It's coming through Andalusia right now. So, I mean, any reports out of East Moline? I don't have any reports other than the fact that one of our photographers is going to fire up a shot for us to use. Fairmount out by 49th Street has no power. Galesburg, good question. We haven't talked to the folks in Galesburg in a while. You are under severe thunderstorm warning. You're expecting winds of 60 miles an hour. We'll probably say in the next 45 minutes or so. But right now, you're probably just sitting and waiting, wondering what's going on. But this was, thunderstorm warning was issued at 1:33. Right now, it's currently 1:39, so about 6 minutes ago. And it's in effect until 2:30 this afternoon. And you're going to have winds of 70 miles an hour. So I don't know Knox County's protocol for putting out severe thunderstorm warning sirens, but I could see that being something that is going to get issued here fairly shortly. You're probably going to hear those sirens going off in your area. So if you're just joining us here on Facebook Live, the strongest of the storms are pushing through the Quad Cities right now. Hopefully you're in your safe spot joining us, whether it's over the air or over on our OTT or Facebook Live. We can kind of take a peek here of what it looks like outside right now. This is a streaming camera. It's not streaming video, but what it is taking a picture every 5 seconds. And this is what it currently looks like in the downtown Quad Cities area. So looking very ominous, obviously very dark. We have those winds gusting, radar estimating at 40 to 50 right now in the Quad Cities. But as we kind of take a peek at some of these other areas, we're going to be seeing winds in excess of 60 to 70. And these are just about to enter Donahue into, say, Grand Mound. Here, we'll put that on right there. So Wheatland, Calamus, I have to imagine some of these areas are getting some really, really strong winds right now, from Grand Mound to Lost Nation to Calamus, Dixon, and Maysville. So if there's anybody that's living in those areas right now, if you feel safe enough to drop me a comment in here, please do, to let me know what you're experiencing, because radar is telling us one story, and it's telling us that you might have some really, really strong winds. But the leading edge is just pushing into Preston, Iowa, Clinton, Comanche, Thompson, in Savannah. So here's another look outside here right now of the Quad Cities, or our TV6 cam. All right, power's out in East Moline, no power in Calamus, minor power outage in Donahue, no power in Rapid City. We got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for McDonough County, Illinois. That is until 2:30. It also includes includes Hancock County as well. So we'll continue to monitor this here as it goes on to the Illinois side of the county. Silvis, the power just went out. That certainly isn't going to be too fun, so let's jump back into your radar. So that means the strongest of the winds, or at least some strong winds, had just pushed through the Kelowna and Coal Valley areas. This is pushing towards Geneseo, Cambridge, and Atkinson. You are next. The strong winds just started in Comanche. DeWitt lost some wind again. We got a new severe thunderstorm warning for Lee County, Illinois until 3:15 this afternoon. Let's see if we can get...
I would say don't. I would say Randy, I would call it.
I'm just listening to what's going on behind us in the background. We're trying to get a... Okay, did we just take another power hit? Anybody? I lost Max 2. All right. Well, I guess we'll just keep going with it. Still have no power at Hopewell and Bettendorf. Fingers crossed. Still no power in Moline. Yeah, guys, you're probably going to be going without power here for at least an hour until these storms completely blow through the area, because they're going to be doing damage now as we get into Comanche, Clinton, Morrison, Linden, Prophet Sound, Tampico, Hoople, and Geneseo. How long should the high winds last? The highest or the strongest of the winds are probably going to last about 20 minutes or less, Devin. But you're going to have really gusty winds for probably about an hour as these storms roll through. Let's see, as we kind of zoom into some other areas while I continue to see what you guys are asking. Lots of branches down off of Rockingham. Thank you, Stephanie. Hope you've been safe. Hey, still some power in Coal Valley. That's some good news there. Consider yourselves one of the lucky ones, I suppose. But right now, we can even track this out for some of us. Remember, these storms are moving to the east at about 70 miles per hour. So here's Kelowna, Illinois. Here's Hoople. It's about 25 miles away, so we're talking about the next 20 minutes for this storm to arrive. In fact, we're seeing this kind of outrun some of these warnings. So let's get the latest on this warning here that includes part of northwest Illinois. Right now, it includes Rock Island, Whiteside, Carroll, Jackson, and eastern Jones County and Muscatine counties. We have winds of 80 to 90 miles an hour associated with this. This is going to give us widespread power outages. This is going to give us trees down. So that's just the latest update. The hail with it is less than 3/4 of an inch. So that's not going to be the big deal out of these storms. It's going to be those strong winds and what appears to be some very heavy downpours. Again, looks like we lost our sky view shot here, so I don't have anything to pull it up. But I can tell you the trees are still whipping around here in the Quad Cities without a doubt. Right now, as we take a peek at Comanche and tree down off of Lincoln Road, lots of branches going down on Jersey Ridge towards 53rd. Transformer blew up a huge light in Moline. That's from Natalie in Moline. No tornado warnings. We have 0 tornado warnings across our area right now. All those are contained to south central Wisconsin. So they're not necessarily impacting our area, but when winds are this widespread of 60+ miles per hour, we might have the potential to see more significant damage from the straight line winds than a tornado. Finally hearing thunder in Bettendorf. That seems odd. It's been raining there for a while.
Some power outages in Davenport.
Yeah, we've got lots of power outages going on.
We have some people working remotely that were letting us know that too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we got a little bit of power, looks like, in East Moline, but Rock Island, we just lost power. Gust front about 230 feet high. Looked like an umbrella floating. Ian, if you want to send that straight to 6, that'd be awesome. Just submit it through our app, and then we can share some of this stuff with you guys at home. Fortunately, I don't have any real